This is Cycle 2, Week 2 Science, experiment number 26, Distortion, in Van Cleve's book. This is a good experiment. It's an illustration of how objects viewed through the atmosphere can appear distorted depending on where the object is, specifically the sun. So as the sun is low to the horizon, then the rays of the sun are coming through a much thicker part of the Earth's atmosphere, and so the shape can sometimes become distorted. It is, I have to mention, it's always important never to look directly at the sun, but if you are out on a lake or if you're in a very wide open space, as the sun begins to set, you can see the effect that we're going to demonstrate today. So in order to do this experiment, there is a little bit of prep work. You have to make a circle. They recommend in the book a 1-inch circle. I think that's a good size. The effect will be most dramatic if the circle is pretty well drawn. For that reason, I definitely recommend using a compass in order to draw the 1-inch circle. In addition to that, you need a magnifying glass. The magnifying glass is how we're going to look at the object with different thickness, because as we're looking at the object here, there's nothing in between us and the object. And then as we add the magnifying glass into our line of sight, the glass has a different thickness, right? There's thickness to the glass. This experiment will work if you keep the magnifying glass parallel to the surface that the object is lying on, but I think it works even better if you tilt the magnifying glass slightly. I will say that it's worth practicing this experiment. I had a little bit of a hard time getting it to work the first time, so I called my trusty and beautiful assistant, who did it easily the first time, and so now I can show you. So if you will, please, lovely assistant, let's move behind my shoulder, and we will look at the distortion. Okay, ready. So I'm going to turn my magnifying glass slightly like this, and now we're going to move it in front of the object so that we look at the object through the magnifying glass. And so we see the object as it moves, and as the object gets near the edge of the magnifying glass, the shape of the circle becomes distorted. All right, let's do it one more time. Go all the way back. So we'll bring it back in front of. And so what really is a pretty well-drawn circle takes a little bit of elongation, especially as that front edge of the circle gets near the edge of the magnifying glass. That, again, is very much like what happens as the sun apparently moves across the sky as the Earth rotates. And so as the sun is very high in the sky, then the rays of light are coming more or less down directly. And as it moves towards the horizon, as the Earth is turning, then the rays of the sun are coming through more layers of the atmosphere. And that's why as the sun sets, it tends to look more yellow, sometimes even very red as it's setting, because the rays of light are being distorted. And so the other effect that you see as the sun sets is sometimes the bottom of the sun will appear to flatten out across the horizon, especially if you're looking out on a lake or if you're looking out at the ocean. If you're on land, you have to be in big sky country, so you really have a good horizon and you're able to see it. But that's the distortion that we're seeing here of the circle with the magnifying glass. This is a good experiment. It's very easy. Very little prep work is involved, especially for the older kids. I would take the compass with you and let them draw the circles themselves and let them color it in. Again, the better defined the edge of that circle is, the better the effect will be. So remind them to color in the line that they made. And tilting the magnifying glass also, I think, dramatically helps. This is Cycle 2, Week 2 Science, experiment number 26, Distortion.